Now, I mentioned Ymir giving birth to humans by sweating them out under his left armpit, and there are variant myths on that. So the creation of humans was often different from the creation myth of the being arising from the abyss and creating the universe. Yahweh again created humans by Adam out of red clay or red earth, which is what Adam originally meant. And Prometheus created men, not women, by forming them from mud or clay. And creating humans from mud or clay, mud or clay is a common motif, and you see this in Sumeria, and you also see it in the myths of Mesoamerica, and I'm sure in other myths that I have not read. Now, Prometheus is an important character. Prometheus is an early savior figure, and that he is willing to sacrifice himself for his offspring. Now, women were created later, or the first woman I should say, is Pandora, and Zeus creates her as punishment for Prometheus and for humans as a whole. But that's another area of study. So, we have a history of male mothers and the creation of basically what is artificial life. And it all comes to a head in 1818 when Mary Shelley's book Frankenstein is first published. Victor Frankenstein, is a male mother. And interestingly enough, and of course this is quite deliberate, the novel Frankenstein is subtitled The Modern Prometheus, a male mother who is creating life. I know I've said that way too many times, so I'm going to try not to belabor that point again because I think you have it. Now, within the novel, Victor Frankenstein creates life. Now, the life that he creates is monstrous. And I said in the last video, but he wasn't really a monster at first. The creature was not born mean. He was not born evil, or he was not produced, perhaps I should say. He becomes how he becomes from the way that he is treated by humans. And again, we will see this in the novel as we read. Now, he looks monstrous from the very beginning. And then his actions come to fit what we perceive someone who looks like him, how they should act, stereotypically speaking, and that goes back to the carnival sideshow. Now, Victor violates the very principles of nature by creating life. The other deities, Zeus and all of those guys, they violated the principles of nature as well. Now, their offspring didn't really always fare very well. Adam sure the heck didn't. Athena and Dionysus, yeah, they did okay as far as Greek gods go, but the Greek gods are just mixed up anyway. And the reason why the Greek gods are mixed up is because they are extensions of humanity. They are as human as any mortal. The Victor violates the very principle of nature in that it is supposed to be females who give birth. It's just that easy. Now, Victor also violates the principles of nature in another way, and that is he tries to overcome death. Now, gods might live forever, but in the natural order of the world, humans are supposed to die. So when Victor tries to overcome death by creating life, he's messed up. Now, there's also a very strong theme of fate or predestination in the novel, which is also a mythic theme. But that's not, and we'll talk about that when we read the book, but it's not really a focus, so we won't go into it into great depth. Now, this is a literature class, and mythology is a form of literature, and Frankenstein, of course, is a novel. So we will talk about the book from a literary point of view as well. For one thing, it is written in the epistolary genre, which means that it is told entirely in letters. Robert Walton is writing the tale of Victor Frankenstein to his sister in a letter. We often forget that as we read through it, but that is what's going on. The Frankenstein the novel also caused quite a stir it caused stirs in a couple of different ways. One is because of its subject matter. This was written in a Christian society, and you don't mess around with the realm of God. Whether you were in Greek society or a Christian society, you just don't do that. But within a Christian society, it was even more of a violation and almost even heresy. Now, it also caused a stir because it was written by a woman, and Mary Shelley was very young at that time. And she gave her husband, very famous husband, Percy Shelley, carte blanche to edit the novel, and he did. But when he edited it, he changed Mary's words to his words. And it was written in university diction, and Mary Shelley would not have had a university education. So the novel created a stir in quite a few ways. Now, Frankenstein evolved from the male mother myth, but there are other tales that also evolved from that. And one is our little friend Pinocchio. Pinocchio is a Frankenstein's creature. Now, Frankenstein didn't create him, Geppetto did, but it is the same basic premise. You have a little wooden puppet who comes to life and wants to become human. Now, Frankenstein's creature wanted to live a human-like life. He wanted a wife. He wanted to settle down, but that was not fated for him. But Pinocchio, finally, because he shows his worth, is turned into a human boy. Who turns Pinocchio into a human? Well, yeah, it's a female, the Blue Fairy. So then in turn, we see a movie that came out several years ago, AI, Artificial Intelligence, and it is merely the story of Pinocchio told in modern terms. So this is a concept that has been with us for a very long time, is still with us, and continues on with us. But again, Frankenstein's creature makes us ask the question, what is a monster? What is monstrous? And how do monsters come about? They have different evolutions, and when we begin to read the novel, we will trace the evolution of the poor creature of Victor Frankenstein.